the National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration Manual.
Is it a lawsuit? Probably. Why not?
Now, the interesting thing about Trooper Paul, why I wanted to do him and why you wanted me to do him, you get to learn so much from the cross-examination of Trooper Paul. He is so incompetent. His lack of ability to answer questions, his lack of understanding of the subject matter, his evasive answering, his being crushed into a powder-like substance on the witness stand by a master of cross-examination, and of course I'm talking about Alan Jackson, is just, oh, a beauty to behold, folks. It is just a beauty to behold. Believe me when I say this, you are not going to regret watching this video and all the subsequent cross-examination videos of Trooper Paul, and especially in the beginning. Because in the beginning, Jackson sets the stage. This man did not do his job properly. He hasn't done his homework. He doesn't have the background. And then he starts just screwing it on and screwing it on. It's like a titty twister, folks. It is so magical. It is so good. It is like watching a master disassemble a coward and a liar, a professional liar. Because not only is he a trooper, he is allegedly also an expert. We'll see how long that title lasts. So, folks, without further ado, I bring you the cross-examination of Trooper Paul. Let's go! By the way, folks, don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe. Both of those are free. It helps the channel and you get more content. So let's keep going.
Sir, do you have any, do you hold any degrees in the scientific discipline of mathematics?
I do not.
Do you hold any degrees?
By the way, notice right out of the gate, the first question out of his mouth, do you hold a degree in this field, mathematics? I do not. Watch him, watch what Jackson does. I'm just gonna be quiet because I want to comment on every word, honestly, because I've done this myself in so many different ways. It is so perfect. It is so beautiful. I'm just gonna try and shut up now so you guys can enjoy this, but you're gonna watch my face. I'm just gonna be like a fangirl. I'm gonna be fangirling over here over Jackson doing this. This is one of the most spectacular cross-examinations I have ever seen in my entire career. Let's keep going.
Scientific discipline of physics.
I do not.
Hold any degrees in the scientific discipline of biomechanics?
No.
How about in engineering?
No.
How about in kinematics?
No.
What's the highest degree that you do hold, sir?
I have an associate's degree.
In what?
Administration of justice.
For those of you who don't know, associate's degree is 2 years of college, not even a 4-year. He doesn't have a degree. Associate's degree is kind of like, I made it halfway through college and then I quit.
You mentioned kinematics on Friday. Do you hold any...
Which in a lot of fields is fine. You know, I'm not trying to crap on everybody who's with an associate's degree right now going, God damn it, Larry, how dare you say that to me? I know, but he's supposed to be an expert in this kind of stuff. That's why it bothers me. You'll see what I mean. Have you been injured in any way, shape, or form due to someone else's negligence? Call us. Trial lawyers are standing by. 1-844-774-HURT. 1-844-774-HURT. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
Certificates in the specific area of kinematics?
Yes, it's covered in the basic crash investigation classes.
Okay, so you took a class, in other words, correct?
Multiple classes.
They introduced the idea of what kinematics is, right?
Correct.
You testified about that on Friday.
Yes.
Define kinematics, that's yours.
It deals with the aspect of motion.
It's a subfield of what broader field?
Kinematics.
Kinematics is a subfield of what broader discipline of science?
I'm not sure.
Physics, correct?
Yes.
And it describes how points and objects, systems of objects, how they move, and how the rate they move and the rate of their velocity, correct?
It deals with the motions.
What's that called? The rate of velocity. What's another word for that?
The rate of velocity?
Correct.
I mean, it deals with the motion. It deals with forward, and also deals with speed. It deals with travel and speed. If something's moving, it also has a speed to it.
Right. The word you're looking for is acceleration, correct?
Sure.
And acceleration is a word in physics. He never took physics. That's why he doesn't know that. I took basic physics in college, and I know that. You know
What
that.
role does acceleration play
So
in the
cringe.
field of kinematics?
What role does acceleration play in kinematics?
Right.
It talks about, like you just said, it talks about the speed and talks about motion.
Is kinematics also known as the geometry of motion? Is that correct?
I have not heard that.
Never heard that. What's the difference between constrained and unconstrained motion?
Constrained and unconstrained motion.
That's what I asked.
Constrained motion. I can't recollect at the moment.
Constrained motion is motion on a predetermined path, isn't it?
Yes.
Unconstrained motion is what?
When it doesn't have a predetermined path?
Free movement, correct?
Correct.
Good to remember that from your
I love how the answer had a question mark at the end of it, because he's asking, Jackson is like, is that what it means? Because I don't know. I never took this stuff. You can't make this up, folks. What Jackson is doing is he's showing that this guy is incompetent. He's showing that this guy did not do his homework. He's showing the jury that this is the wrong witness to testify about what he just testified on direct examination. That's what he's doing. That's step one of disassembling a state's expert. What's your background? Sometimes you will lose on that. Sometimes the expert has degree after degree after degree after degree. So you may skip that part, or maybe just gloss over it. Just, okay, so you took that and that and that. Okay, cool. Let's move on to the next topic. There are multiple avenues for disassembling an expert witness, and this series is going to explore every single one of them. That is why I love this. This is my favorite cross-examination of the entire trial number one. All of it. Yes, even more so than former Massachusetts State Police Trooper Michael Proctor, because that one was that one was just factually abhorrent. This one is how to disassemble an expert. Okay, I'm gonna shut up again. I just am so excited.
class.
For the most part, we don't go that in depth, constrained and unconstrained.
Constrained and unconstrained, not restrained.
That's what I said. Sorry, unconstrained. Yes.
Kinematics uses algebraic formula to model these motions, right? The motions of these points, and systems of points, correct?
Yes.
And it includes concepts like displacement and speed, velocity, distance,
He looks
acceleration,
confused.
which we've talked about, correct?
Correct.
And it looks at how these things, these values vary over a point in time, or duration in time. Is that right?
Yes.
Do you actually understand the physics behind the study of kinematics?
Yes.
The word you learned in class.
Oh?
Yes, we had to go over the physics part of it.
On Friday, you said that this incident is a pedestrian strike from a vehicle. You reiterated that again this morning. Is that right?
Correct.
I want to be clear. That is your opinion based on your training and experience, correct?
Yes.
And on Friday, you said you based that fact, or you based that rather opinion, on the fact that you noted a half-mile-an-hour decrease in speed and a steering input of less than 10 degrees at some point in that reverse motion, correct?
I said that it was consistent. That data point in general was consistent with something that you would see within data of a pedestrian striker striking something else. I do go in my report saying I can't say that's definitely where a pedestrian was struck, but
I'm sorry, I can barely...
it wasn't definitively. Sorry, in my report I do say I can't say that is definitively where the pedestrian struck.
By the way, why does he keep eating his words? He sounds like Elmer Fudd from Bugs Bunny, Warner Brothers. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to hate on the guy. If you know anything about me, I don't go after people in the way that they speak. I'm not going to sit here and berate him. Oh my God, look at this clown. He can't even talk. But when you are going to, you're supposed to be an expert in a field. You're supposed to know your stuff backwards and forwards. You're supposed to be testifying on behalf of the government. government to explain how the pedestrian accident occurred. Now, we know it's all complete bogus and horse crap, that it never happened. And now that's why he's having trouble bending over backwards trying to prove that, yes, this collision did occur. But at least enunciate, man. You're in court. You're appearing in front of a jury. Speak fluidly. Speak correctly. I think he's about to get scolded by the court reporter because she's like, can you slow down and break your words apart? He's just like fusing those words together and in ways that is making it difficult not just for us to follow, and Jackson and the jury and the court reporter, everybody, including Judge Bev. What the hell, man? Not professional. Very unprofessional.
Definitely, yes.
Okay, so you're going to have to slow down and speak up, okay?
And
I
enunciate.
just want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly, and I apologize.
Okay.
You said you cannot say definitively that that resulted in a pedestrian strike.
That data point within the text stream data is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
That specific points, that time frame.
Because there's a multitude of reasons why when someone is driving in reverse, they might slow down by a half a mile an hour, right?
It's when I say when it's consistent, it's because there's the other aspects of it is the fact that the accelerator is consistently strong.
Let him answer. Finish your answer.
So the accelerator is at a constant rate, and then it just drops by half a mile, and the steering wheel all of a sudden abruptly goes to the right.
I don't know, folks. Maybe it's just me, but this guy does not instill confidence in me about his knowledge base and his fact base. Like, he doesn't give me confidence that he knows what he's talking about. I think he's just using words together just to like make it seem like he knows this stuff. Am I the only one? Let me know in the comments below if you feel the same way, or if you feel differently. If you want to tell me, Larry, you're full of crap. This guy is an expert and you should trust him, and he has a lot of good information. You're just stupid because you just got your Bachelor of Arts in philosophy and with a minor in criminal justice, Larry. This guy got his associate's degree in whatever the hell, and he took specific classes about kinematics and the driving of the acceleration of the physics motion and stuff. And he is the expert, so he's the one you should listen to. Please tell me in the comments below. How do you feel? Am I the only one?
That's what I'm talking about when I say it is consistent with a pedestrian strike. That's something that you would see. It's not going to be a huge change of speed during this collision.
You also note that at the time, it had begun to snow, correct?
Yes.
There would be snow on the lawn, right?
Correct.
There would be snow on the cars,
Yes.
snow on the trees,
Yes.
snow on the roadway.
Yes.
Snow on the roadway could impact how tires move over the roadway, correct?
In a way.
What do you mean in a way? Of course they will. What? Is this guy serious?
And obviously there are a multitude of reasons why somebody might input a 10-degree input on a steering wheel, correct?
Correct. That's why I said I couldn't definitely say it.
Right. So every time somebody slows down, going in reverse or forward, and introduces a 10-degree input on the steering wheel, doesn't mean they're looking to hit a pedestrian, correct?
Correct.
You testified that you determined the area of impact by basically following, if I heard your testimony correctly, basically following the debris field from the body from where you believed John O'Keefe's body's final resting place was, almost linearly to the furthermost piece of debris that was found. Did I get that right?
Yes.
In other words, you established what in your mind, or what you were told was his final resting place, and what you were told was the debris field. And you indicated that the furthermost piece of debris would basically be the area of impact, right?
It's within that line. I didn't say that is the area impact where the furthermost piece of evidence is.
All right.
It's just the linear, like you said earlier. It's that linear. We're throwing that path. That's the path that he traveled post impact with the vehicle.
And that is on which that fact that you stated.
So he was propelled? Like, the impact was so strong. If the impact was that strong, wouldn't there be more damage to the SUV, to the Lexus? Hello? How do you confine an impact to a human body to a surface area that is 7.5 inches by 8.5 inches, and then just pretend like nothing else is there. And not only that, he traveled a distance. I know in trial number 2, we are prepared for their Hank Brennan's excuse that John O'Keefe's head allegedly hit the icy ground or whatever. I thought there was snow on the ground. There was a snowstorm going on, so isn't the ground going to be soft from all the snow? Or are they going to argue it was before the snowfall? I mean, I can't wait for them to try a theory and get caught in a very, very bold-faced lie. Now that I cannot wait for. Oh, it's going to be juicy.
Stated is on which it's a terrible question. That's the basis for your opinion of where the area of impact was, correct?
Yes.
Let's take a look at exhibit, with the court's permission, 587. It's your diagram 3. If I may approach Your Honor, just for,
Okay.
so you can see it. Your Honor, may we publish exhibit 587? diagram
Yes.
3? Okay. Sir, you see diagram 3 on the board. You also have it in front of you, correct?
Yes.
It's easier for you to refer to what's in front of you because that's a little bit further away. Just let me know.
Okay.
The red arrows adjacent to the blue writing, where I'm highlighting right now, indicate basically the debris field that you explained to the jurors on Friday, correct?
Yes.
And then there's a point of an arrow that comes back to a wording that says pedestrian's final rest, basically right there, correct?
Yes.
And the debris field ends right in the middle of that spotlight, correct?
Yes.
All right. So that's the area of impact that you indicated to Mr. Lally you believe occurred because of the debris field and the linear portion of that debris field going from the pedestrian's final rest all the way out to that final little red arrow that says red plastic B in parentheses, correct?
Yes.
Jonah, can we have exhibit 492 published to the juror, please?
Okay.
While that's coming up, have you ever seen this?
No, I haven't.
Take a look just above the arrow. Your Honor, with the court's permission, may we highlight or magnify the area just above the arrow?
Okay.
You see that?
Yes, I do.
Right underneath fire hydrant.
He's never
correct?
seen
Correct.
it?
What does that look like to you?
A piece of plastic.
It's debris, correct?
Correct.
All right. Can we go back with the court's permission to exhibit 87?
Okay.
And this is where, now that we've established that, Trooper Paul, you don't have credentials to talk about this stuff, now let's talk about this stuff.
You see the fire hydrant?
Yes.
Fire hydrant's right there.
So
correct?
the impact was so strong, pieces of plastic went flying in every direction, but the rest of the vehicle was untouched. Make it make sense.
Correct.
That's another, according to your scale, that's probably a good 30 feet from the pedestrian's final rest, correct?
Yeah, that's about right.
That is the furthermost in this diagram, the furthermost piece of debris on the diagram, correct?
Correct.
So now, your testimony changed that this, in fact, is the area of impact.
No,
No?
because it's just a piece of debris. I'm talking about the path. You follow the path of debris field. Debris can move and change.
The debris doesn't fly
What?
backward.
What did he just say? Wait, I want to hear this again. What changed?
Because it's just a piece of debris. I'm talking about the path. You follow the path of debris field. Debris can move and change.
Debris can move and change. Does it have legs, Trooper Paul? Unless it's being manipulated. Did you just admit to the planting of evidence debris can move and change? Debris is unchanging. Debris is inanimate objects. It doesn't move and change. It is unmovable and unchanging unless being manipulated by the people that are investigating it. Oh my God, I completely forgot about that part. Wow. Debris has legs now, folks. That's a newsflash to me. It has legs and it can relocate. It can move down the street. It can move to the other side of the city. It can move to a different country. Debris can move and change.
The debris doesn't fly backward, does it?
No.
I'm saying you pointed to like just the fire hydrant as the area impact where the debris, where that one piece of plastic was, saying that's the area impact is right next to the fire hydrant.
Are you asking me a question?
Yeah, that's what you said, right?
I'm asking you.
I'm making sure I'm understanding what you're saying, so I can answer the.
So I can lie accordingly. Yeah.
Ask the question
we
again,
get
Mr.
it. We get it.
Jackson.
In fact, you indicated on Friday that your analysis of the area of impact was predicated on, based on, the furthermost piece of debris from the pedestrian's body that you were aware of, which is right there. Red plastic B, correct?
Yes, and he just admitted that he has never seen that photograph before, so he can't go back and say, well, actually, this changes my testimony. Like, what the hell, man?
Say that's definitely the point of area impact or the point of impact.
You can't.
I cannot say that is the point of impact right there. You just kind of follow the linear path because they have to follow in a direct path that way.
Okay, so now your testimony is that's not the area of impact.
I never said that was the area impact. I said it's after that.
Trooper, we were all here on Friday.
Okay.
It's exactly what you said under questioning by Mr. Lally, wasn't it?
Objection.
Sustained.
Grab him, don't let him go.
Didn't you say on Friday
Grab him and don't let him
that
go.
you determined the area of impact for Mr. O'Keefe? The
Yep,
point of impact
yep.
was red plastic B because that was the furthermost piece of debris you were aware of from the final point of rest from Mr. O'Keefe's body.
Yep,
Isn't that what you said?
yep.
I don't believe that's my exact words.
Oh, now he's going back on his words. Okay, get him, Jackson.
Exact words. I don't have a transcript of it. I'm asking you, is that what you tried to impart to the jurors?
What I said to the jury, I said after that. That's the start of. That's the last point of evidence that I had. I said the area impact was probably along the roadway after that point. I mean, like before it. If you were to walk towards him.
I'm sorry, I keep doing that because I think you're done. Are you done?
I am done now, sir.
Now you're aware that there's a piece of debris, looks like taillight material, right under the fire hydrant,
Yes.
correct?
Correct.
If the area of impact, which you indicated on Friday, was where this red plastic B is, you would be wrong, right? Your analysis would be flawed.
No, because that's not what I said. I said it's along the roadway, and it's going to be after that point.
Oh my God.
So is the area of impact now where the fire hydrant is?
Objection.
Ask it differently.
Is it?
Are you now indicating, because now you realize that there's a piece of debris directly under the fire hydrant, are you now indicating that that's the area of impact where John O'Keefe's body was struck?
Objection.
Sustained.
What? Why?
Let's take a look at exhibit.
I don't know.
Information.
I think Jackson had another opportunity. If I were there, and again, I know it's stressful, trust me, and I'm sitting here in the comfort of my home, I'm not litigating. It's just my brain can't stop working this out. If I had to cross-examine Trooper Paul myself, I would ask it something like this. On Friday, you testified that the point of impact is going to be found somewhere along the line of the trajectory, basically reverse. You go from the body backwards to the road, correct? Correct. To your knowledge, red plastic piece B, first piece of plastic on its trajectory path towards John O'Keefe's body, correct? Correct. Now, with the new revealed information that there's a piece of plastic near the fire hydrant, your calculus is now changed, correct? And let him answer. That's what I would have done. Does that impact your calculus? Does it now change? Rather than saying you are wrong, because that's objectionable, just open it up. It's risky, it's dangerous. And of course, he's going to weasel his way out, but it's not going to work because the jury's already heard it. He said the first piece of plastic is going to be the point of impact. That's obvious. Where you don't find plastic, then there was no impact. Where you find plastic, there was impact, according to him, right? Now, we know that plastic has been brought after the fact, broken off of Karen's SUV, and scattered across. I know, we have to leave all of that to the side. We have to play this pretend game, this pretend visual that they are painting. And it's very difficult, but it's not impossible. You just work in a vacuum. So in a coulda, shoulda, woulda world, and basically you start working backwards from that, and then maybe you can get something going.
279.
Okay.
Taking a look at exhibit 279, I want to draw your attention to with that piece right there of plastic. You see it?
Yes.
You describe it for me. Just physically, what does that look like?
It looks like clear plastic with a little bit of red and the black on the top part.
Okay. Maybe in a triangular shape. Is that fair?
Correct.
Okay. Now, if we could go back to, with the court's permission, Exhibit 492,
Okay.
and if we could highlight it just above the ruler. How would you describe that piece of material?
It looks like the same piece.
Does that, based on that, does that appear to be part of the taillight material that was found at the scene?
Correct.
Okay. Now, based on that, are you now suggesting, if we could go, with the court's permission, if we could go back to 587, and I'll stop jumping around just a second, I think we
Okay.
could just get back to 587. Oh, sorry, it's diagram 3. Thanks. Now, seeing what you just now seen, in terms of that piece of plastic that appears to be from the taillight, does that appear to be under the fire hydrant, which is highlighted? Same piece.
Yes.
Okay. Based on that, does that change your opinion? Is that now, the fire hydrant now, the point of impact?
No.
Where is the point of impact now?
It's along the roadway. I don't know the exact point of impact. Can I?
So you don't know the area of impact?
I said the area of impact is along the roadway after the debrief.
Okay.
I mean, only thing it would change is maybe it was a little further away. But besides that, it's a linear field. I'm not talking about like one point. You kind of follow the middle of the debris field, and that should be the path.
Just imagine in your mind's eye how completely impossible the scenario that he's describing to have actually happened. For an SUV to go at such a high rate of speed as to hit a pedestrian, John O'Keefe, with just the 7.5 by 8.5 inch surface area, nothing else, everything else is completely untouched around that area, and for that plastic to shatter and travel with the body in the direction of impact and scatter like confetti. Realistically speaking, it would be confined to a very limited space, and plastic would be found in John's body because of the impact. And the SUV rear would have been completely destroyed. The metal would have been bent, the rear frame would have been bent, the bumper would have been probably either bent or broken. The whole rear of the SUV would have been catastrophically damaged and would be in dire need of repair. You probably wouldn't even be able to get back on the roadway without getting pulled over every 5 minutes because police officers would be asking questions. What did you hit? You clearly hit something. And combine that with Nicholas Barros' testimony that the taillight was merely cracked and not broken, just cracked. It simply doesn't make any sense. Nothing makes sense. And Trooper Paul is not helping the case in any way, shape, or form.
The point of impact is along the roadway. Where along the roadway, if you can show the jurors, where along the roadway, in your expert opinion, was the point of impact?
In your expert opinion.
It should be within, if you follow from pedestrians, find a rest here, just kind of follow it back. That's what I'm talking about, linear field.
So now you've indicated an area, if I can follow your laser pointer, an area along here, correct?
Yes, somewhere in there.
All right, if I have my spotlight, is that, if I leave it right there, is that about where the middle of the spotlight, about where you believe the area of impact is?
It's within, I guess you can say it's within that area. I don't know definitely. There's nothing on the roadway that has a definitive point that says this is the area impact right here. It's within the roadway based on the evidence at the scene.
Okay. Trooper Paul, I'm asking you, based on your expert opinion and your conclusions, based on your full analysis, can you point me to within an area of 5 feet or so on the roadway where you believe the area of impact is? Is my spotlight basically highlighting the area that you believe, in your opinion, was the area of impact?
You have that laser pointer?
I do.
Why don't we let him show you? It'd be easier for the jury to see.
Yes, go ahead, show us.
So what I'm trying to say is, you follow the linear path.
No, stop saying follow the linear path. He asked you a specific question within 5 feet. Just show me And if you're too far away and the laser is shaking, that's okay. Come closer to the board. Show me within 5 feet the area of impact. Nail him down. That way you can use it later. And he's refusing to answer because he knows he's full of shit. He's got nothing. He has no idea. It's because it's not mathematically or physically possible. Period. Or materially. Good gravy.
Around this area.
Okay, can you?
And sorry, I'm trying to keep it straight as much as I can. Follow back to here. I can't say like if this definitely is, but it's possibly based on also vehicle damage to the back of the vehicle. So if you follow all the way back to here, that could be a possible area impact.
What damage?
So when you say that area there, just I want to be very clear for the record that what you highlighted is an area basically just to the left of an X that's on the roadway, on the bottom of diagram 3, toward the lower part of diagram 3.
It's
Correct?
you would use your circle almost to kind of be a good area around.
I'm sorry, you need to.
You can use a circle around here. This would be around the area.
Okay.
Okay.
So using your scale, that scale is going from full left to full right. It's plus or minus 40 feet, right?
Switch. Can't see it.
Oh, this is gonna be good.
So say again. Say the question.
That scale is 40 feet. Going full left, full right, 40 feet.
It's 40 feet. It's a 10-foot scale.
Okay, sorry, 20 feet. My mistake.
I was okay.
Eyes are terrible. 20 feet. Thank you. All right, so if you use that scale, can you estimate for the jurors? I'm just going to use this X as a starting point. You estimate for the jurors from this X that I've highlighted to the pedestrian's final rest. What's that number? Doesn't have to be exact. Give me an estimate.
So, I mean, it could be within 30 feet because
30 feet!
also on my scale, this 2 and
30
3 is 50
feet!
from each other.
John O'Keefe's body traveled 30 feet? And the only damage to the car should have been going like 75 miles an hour in reverse for him to travel that distance. In the snow, with snow on the ground. He just said 30 feet! What?
50.
Okay. 50.
50.
So would you agree that from this X down here to the pedestrian's final rest, as the crow flies, that's probably a good 35, 40 feet.
I mean, I could try to use the scale. With me as a scale.
If you wouldn't mind. You need a piece of paper?
Yes, please.
Oh.
With permission?
Okay.
Just a blank piece of paper.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
You need a pen?
I got one. Thank you. It's a little around. It's approximately 30 feet.
We're up approximately 30 feet.
Yes.
Okay. Can you
Wow. So I guess, not to be vulgar or anything, but it turns out that John O'Keefe's deceased body also has feet, like much like the debris that he was talking about, because debris moves around. So do inanimate objects like humans that are no longer breathing that also can move around. Oh my God. The math is not mathing.
Commission, can you estimate 30 feet in here?
Can I estimate?
Can you point to a place in the courtroom that looks like it's 30 feet from you?
Objection.
No. Next question.
Does the court have a diagram of a diagram of distances in the courtroom?
In this courtroom? No.
No, of course not, because that would be useful to the
You
defense.
indicated just now.
Whoa, did you see how he fixed his tie? He's like, oh boy, this is not good. This is not good. That is the hallmark of someone that is losing confidence and is very stressed. And he's just trying to get a little bit of air in there, a little bit of breathing room, a little bit of everything is fine. It's a soothing gesture. It's a same thing as like when people go like this, pat themselves on the head. Like it brings you back to childhood when your mommy used to pat you on the head when you're a good boy. You did good in school today. You know, it's very similar. It's also like, let me get some air in here. Let me be able to breathe. But yeah.
And I'm finished with this. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, he did it again.
Just now, in answer to Mr. Lally,'s last couple of questions, that in your expert opinion, when the SUV struck pedestrian John O'Keefe, he was, quote, projected forward and to the left, to the front yard to his final place of rest.
30 feet.
Yes.
30 feet.
So your expert testimony is that John O'Keefe was hit with the SUV and flew 30 feet.
Projected mean like I don't say he flew all the way there. He was projected in that way. He got pushed forward in that direction.
What?
Which, if he was rendered incapacitated, landed there, he'd have to sort of fly there, correct? Didn't walk there.
I mean, would you definitely flying like literally off the ground the whole entire time, or?
Well, you tell me.
You tell me. You're the expert.
When we say projected, we mean it's projected, and they usually have a landing phase, and they land, and then they either roll or tumble to final rest.
Okay, how far do you think he landed? How far was it until he landed of that 30 feet?
I don't know. There's no indication of where his exact landing spot was.
Was there any evidence whatsoever that he landed and rolled?
And there was no evidence that he landed or rolled. Rolled.
According to you, the evidence that you have in front of you is that you get hit, fly 30 feet, land where he ended up in his final rest, right?
Objection.
That's like
Sustained.
that-
Ask it
that-
differently.
That's what he said,
Based on
though.
Expert opinion. You believe that he was projected through the air to his final rest place.
That's not what I'm saying.
But you said there's no evidence that he rolled.
And there's no evidence that he flew through the air either.
So how did he get there?
Right? Exactly.
Objection.
Sustained.
Yes. No. I want to hear it again. I want to hear it again.
That's not what I'm saying.
But you said there's no evidence that he rolled.
And there's no evidence that he flew through the air either.
Exactly. Right? Exactly.
Objection.
Sustained.
That's
You
a
said on
standing
Friday, in your
ovation.
experience, people tend to lose objects that are not strapped to them. Is that right?
Yes.
In other words, get hit by something, car, truck, bus, whatever, train, and if you have something in your hand, boom, you lose it, you drop it. If it's not strapped to you, correct?
Correct.
How do you suppose that Mr. O'Keefe, in your opinion, held on to that glass cup that was found right next to him
Yeah.
over the course of 30 feet?
It's a great question.
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Yes.
Do you have a theory on that?
Answer.
I don't know. I mean, it just could have been with him the whole way. I don't know. I wasn't there, so I don't know how the glass stayed with his body and went with him to the final rest.
So it's just common sense. You have to believe that if it was in his hand, he held on to it the entire time it was being projected 30 feet, correct?
It could have been in his hand. It could have been tucked next to his clothing. Could
Did you say tucked into?
could have been next to his body. So when he projected, the glass was with his body as it was also flying. So there's a number of reasons why the glass, because it also got projected with the body while he was holding it.
I thought you said on Friday, and you just agreed with me, that people drop things when they're hit.
Yes, body not everything it tends to fly off. I mean, some stuff flies off, some stuff will stay on.
I see.
It's not uncommon to find a piece of clothing and stuff, that you find at the scene.
Piece of clothing.
Like clothing, like shoes, like shoes and stuff like that to come off the body during a pedestrian crash.
Well, that's not what I asked.
I know, I'm just saying, you asked me, you said I'm just responding to what you said. And trying to make sure you understand what I'm saying.
No, I don't, but I'll ask another question. Shoes
I don't
are strapped
either.
on, by definition, right?
Yes, but it's very common for shoes to come off.
How about a cell phone?
Cell phone, yeah, it depends. Depends on where it is.
It was under his body.
Okay.
How do you account for that? He held onto a cell phone with one hand and held onto a cup with the other.
Objection.
Sustained. Ask it
It's
differently.
a good question.
If his cell phone was found under his torso, under his body, what's your theory on how that cell phone ended up flying 30 feet with it?
It just did.
It just did, because somebody
And
put it
somehow,
there.
as he landed, tucked that cell phone underneath his body so he landed on top of it.
It just did. That's the evidence at the scene. I can't.
He's such a great expert. He's like, it just happened. Rather than explaining, like, from a physics standpoint, this happened, and you understand the path, the trajectory of what happens to a cell phone. No. Forget all that. Listen, Jackson, it just happened. Next question. Yeah, that just happened too. Next question. Well, that didn't happen. Next question. Well, that just happened. Like, the level of incompetence here is just so staggering. It's so stark. It's so bad. I am just beside myself all over again. I remember seeing this live, and now I'm just reminded of the level of incompetence.
I didn't put the evidence there.
Unbelievable.
So
Well, you didn't.
You didn't. They did.
Objection.
All right, so
Yeah.
jurors, I've told you before, lawyers cannot make comments, so disregard it. Mr. Jackson, don't do it
I
again.
understand.
Yeah.
You understand,
Sit
but
down,
don't
Bev.
do it. Your
Sit
answer's
down.
always, I understand.
Bev, sit down.
Don't do it.
Yes, Your Honor.
Nobody cares.
Cell phone in one hand,
Everybody knows
cup in
already.
the other hand, flew through the air. Right?
Objection.
Sustained.
This is not a judge. I know some of you are gonna go like, "Oh my God!" I know I didn't really yell at her, but like, I swear, it's this feeling that I get that you have two prosecutors in the room and one is wearing a robe. I have no respect for judges who have no respect for the law. I don't. I just don't. I tolerate her. That is the most I will give Auntie Bev, is I tolerate her because I have to. And if I was practicing in that courtroom, oh, by God, she'll be getting all sorts of respect from me. Absolutely. But I'm not practicing in the courtroom, and I have every right to judge her from here till Sunday, because I've had unruly judges before. And unfortunately, sometimes you have to put them in their place. And I have done it. If you've watched my videos, I have done it in my own cases, in my own videos. Go check out the playlist of my courtroom hearings. There are at least 3 hearings I can think of off the top of my head, 2 of them with the same judge, where I had to literally tell the judge and put her in her place because she was violating the law in open court. I know what the law was because I read it. I know it. And I told her, and she refused to follow it, so I had to put her in her place. I said, no, whatever you're asking me to do, I'm not doing it. Do something about it. Come on, bring it. And you know what? That earns you respect, because other judges see when you treat a judge that is violating the law like that, they respect you. I promise you, they respect you. But when a judge like this is acting in this way, again, I promise you, bad judges are going to dislike you because they're like, shoot, am I next? You know, I don't want to be up against this Forman guy, so maybe they'll be a little bit more scared next time. And vice versa, judges who respect you because they follow the law, they're going to love you because they know they'll never have any problems with you because they follow the law and you have no reason to ever call them out. It's just going to be a normal interaction. Good morning, good night, you know, whatever. This is my case, Your Honor. I swear, this woman is just bringing out the worst in me. I cannot stand judges who violate the law. One day we're going to truly discover what Auntie Bev has been up to all this time. One day we're going to learn what she has done and how badly it is. And who knows, in the future, maybe Auntie Bev will be serving prison time. I wouldn't put it past her. Anything is possible. We'll see.
You were informed of this incident on January 29th, 2022 at about 2.
Of course, it all depends on the level of egregiousness of her involvement in all this and if she has received any payments, cash payments, promises, property, etc., in exchange for her rulings and her treatment of Karen Reed in this case and the protection she's offering to the troopers, the former troopers, and Lally and Brennan. That's what it's all going to boil down to.
2:30 in the afternoon. Is that right?
yes.
At the time, you were working out of the CARS facility, which is located on West Grove Street in Middleborough. Is that right?
Yes.
By the way, that's a facility that has multiple garages. Sally ports, I don't know if they're called Sally ports, but garage bays, correct?
The mechanic shop are there.
The mechanic shop
Yes.
is, if you're going to review, for instance, for purposes of a reconstruction, if you're going to review a vehicle, is the vehicle placed in those mechanics bays?
No, not there. That's for state police vehicles.
Okay, so where are the mechanics bays, sorry, reverse that. Where are the Sally ports where you would do your analysis, your reconstruction, your review of the vehicle, inspections, things of that nature?
We don't have Sally ports for that.
You don't have anything dedicated to that?
No, the only time we would use a Sally port is the crime scene would have some Sally ports that they would do to document their crime scene stuff. And I've gone there, they've done my inspections, but most of our inspections are done either at the tow yard or some type of facility for that.
Ultimately, was this SUV ever taken to the Middleborough facility?
Yes, it was.
Where was it placed?
There's a fenced-in area inside the. It's a fenced-in area
Is it outside or inside?
outside.
Okay. Did it remain outside in that fenced-in area the whole time?
I don't know the exact time. It was there for a while. Then it got moved.
Where did it get moved to?
I'm not sure exactly where they moved it immediately after it left Middleborough.
Are you familiar with the Foxborough location at MSP?
Yes.
Does that have sally ports or bays for inspection and evaluation?
It has garages in it, but we wouldn't use them. We don't normally use those garages for inspections.
Is it possible to use those garages for inspections?
It is possible.
Okay. It's happened before, correct?
I've not used the inspection in the garages.
But it's,
I'm going to ask you to keep your voice up and
Sorry.
speak
Yes.
slowly.
I still,
you know that it could be
it
used-
just
sorry,
mumbles.
sorry. You know that those bays could be used for inspections or analysis or evaluation if needed, correct?
Yes.
All right. Given the fact that the SUV that was being seized on January 29th was being seized as potential evidence, best practices would suggest that you want to get it in and out of the bad weather, the inclement weather, as quickly as possible, correct? You wouldn't want to subject it to continued forces from nature like rain, wind, snow, sleet, hail, right?
That would be beneficial, yes.
All right. You're aware that the Foxborough location and the Middleborough location with the mechanics bays are all closer to Dighton than Canton, right?
Both Foxborough and
Foxborough and Middleborough are both closer to Dighton than Canton. In other words, you have to pass by, depending on which way you go, pass by Middleborough, pass by Foxborough to get to Canton. You're aware that the Foxborough location and the Middleborough location with the mechanics bays are all closer to Dighton than Canton, right?
both Foxborough and
Foxborough and Middleborough are both closer to Dighton than Canton. In other words, you have to pass by, depending on which way you go, pass by Middleborough, pass by Foxborough to get to Canton.
So from where?
From Dighton, sorry.
So from from Dighton.
Where the vehicle was seized in
Yeah.
all going toward Canton, you pass by either Middleborough or Foxborough to get to Canton, right?
I don't believe you'd pass by Middleborough to get to Canton, but you pass by Foxborough.
All right. The car was not taken to Foxborough, was it?
No.
As a matter of fact, the car was taken basically double the distance all the way to Canton to that Sally Port, correct?
Objection.
But it's
Do
true.
you know that? Is that double the distance?
I don't know the exact distance. I know it was in Canton.
And you know it's far to Canton,
From Dighton, yes.
right?
He didn't like that.
And you're also aware that because you've been to the scene, assuming, correct, in the 34 Fairview,
Yes. Yes, I have.
and you've been to Canton PD,
Yes, I have.
you know that those two locations are about 3 or 4 minutes apart.
Yeah, I can say that.
When you started your
And also, before I forget, this is trial number 1. I don't know if I mentioned this, okay? So we're going back in time. This is part 3 of 5 of Trooper Paul in trial number 1.
let me ask this a little bit different way.
All parts are on my channel in the playlist.
Before you began any review on this case, any physical review on this case or analysis on the case, you were told that there had been a crash, correct?
Yes.
You testified to that at the state court grand jury in this matter. Is that right? That you've been told in advance this was a vehicle pedestrian crash and you were asked to analyze it, right?
Yes.
You wrote in your report that it was a single vehicle collision involving a pedestrian and you were, quote, assigned to reconstruct that collision, correct?
Yes.
So when you began your analysis, Trooper Paul, you were told conclusively by the lead investigator, Michael Proctor, that the deceased was hit by a car and your job was to reconstruct it. Is that right?
Objection.
Okay, so there are lots of parts to that. Break it down.
Sure. Were you told by Michael Proctor to reconstruct this incident?
Objection.
So were you told that by Trooper Proctor?
I was not.
Okay, next question.
Sure. Who were you told Who are you given your instructions by?
Instructions for what?
Reconstruct this incident.
I wasn't given instructions to reconstruct it. It's just I was assigned to it.
Right.
That was requested. My assistance was requested.
So
to
who
reconstruct
assigned you,
Who
doofus?
assigned you to it?
it. I talked to my sergeant at the time who gave me the phone call.
And
What's his
you were
name?
told some basics about that
Why? I don't understand. Why is he being so evasive? He's just an accident reconstructionist, allegedly, right? What's with the evasion, bruh? Just tell it how it is. What are you hiding? Don't get it.
the event that you were asked to reconstruct.
Or do
correct?
I?
Yes.
The information that you were told came from the case officer. Is that right?
Who's the case officer?
The information that this was a pedestrian vehicle incident, as opposed to motor vehicle incident, pedestrian bicycle, motorcycle. You were told it was a motor vehicle pedestrian incident that you were asked to reconstruct, correct?
Yeah, I was told that. Yes.
All right, and you had to be given some basic parameters of what that incident, how that incident occurred. The car was going in reverse. It's got a damaged taillight, things like that.
Some basic stuff. Yeah.
What I'm asking is, I'm trying to get to is, who gave you that information? Where did it come from?
That the car was traveling in reverse. Like, which part of the information you asked me?
Oh my God.
Were you given information from multiple sources? Or did someone give you a summary of what you were being asked to do? At the very beginning,
Yep.
who gave you the summary?
Summary of the whole entire.
My eyes are about to glaze over, bro.
That you were asked to reconstruct.
I was passed down when I got to the garage. That there was nobody that sat there and gave me the summary, like that I can remember. I was told that it was a pedestrian crash. I knew it was a Boston police officer involved. That this was the vehicle,
But who?
and that it was traveling in reverse. That's all they had.
Okay. What I'm asking is,
But who?
that's great. Thank you for the summary. Who gave you that summary?
I don't know if it was definitely anybody from the get-go that was like I talked to.
From where?
I don't know if it's anybody that I could definitely say that was the person. There was multiple people going around when I got there. I think I talked to Trooper Zach Clark. He was doing the crime scene. I think he was Zach Clark. He was the crime scene photos at the time. I knew him from past crashes. He just said this.
And notice how he just said his name like, oh, I don't want to throw my buddy under the bus. That was Trooper Clark. And I'm sorry, who? Zach Clark. Anyway, so as I was saying, like he's trying so hard to not throw his buddies under the bus because like later he's like, oh man, I'm gonna have to go to the department and be like, why did you mention my name? You know I don't want to get involved in this conspiracy. Yeah, well, you know, it was fished out of me by Jackson, man. Like, what do you expect me to do? I'm not smart. Oh, God, this guy is so pathetic. Such a weasel, such a little worm. I have no respect for this entity. I can't call him a man. To call him a boy is a compliment. He's just a shell. That's what I see when I see him. I see that just an empty shell that used to house something, and now it's just drying in the sun, waiting to fall to the ground and turn into dirt. He's pre-dirt. Oh, that's a great definition. He's pre-dirt. He's about to become dirt tomorrow. Remember that joke from Men in Black? This coffee tastes like dirt. Well, what do you expect? It was ground this morning.
Vehicle, and I think he kind of gave me a little bit of a lowdown on what the vehicle was.
Okay.
So.
My question is this. When you got that, did you call it a lowdown? He gave you the lowdown?
He's kind of like you guys know, some of you who play video games, you know what an NPC is? It's a non-playing character. He's basically like an NPC. He just kind of shows up. You know, you're not the main character, or like the boss or whatever. You're just like the shopkeep, like, hello, what can I get for you today? Thank you, have a great day. And then next, hello, what can I get for you today? Have a great day. You know, hello, what can I get for you? You get the point, right? That's him. He's like, and then I examined the evidence, which we planted. Anyway, and then I looked at the evidence that Trooper Proctor told me to review because he brought it in red Solo cups. Anyway, he's very mundane, basic, no personality, no... Like, this guy, he gets on the stand, he talks, he gets off the stand, people are like, Trooper who?
He gave me information, yes.
Right. when you got the lowdown,
Let me know in the comments below if you agree or disagree. I'm curious.
you were told
Personality-wise.
police officer was involved. The vehicle pedestrian incident, car was going in reverse, ultimately led to the death of the pedestrian. Struck the pedestrian in reverse, correct?
Correct.
All right. And you were assigned specifically to try to reconstruct that incident.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of the phrase confirmation bias?
I know the phrase, yes.
You know what it means?
I can't definitely say what it means.
Developing a conclusion and then trying to find evidence to fit that conclusion. Does that sound right?
If you say so.
He was trying to hide a smirk. Did you catch that?
You noted in your direct examination that there were scratches on the passenger side rear bumper of the Lexus, correct?
Yes.
How exactly were you able to scientifically determine that any of those scratches were from an incident on January 29th, 2022, as opposed to any other time?
I didn't have anything else on the time. Is that those scratches happened prior to this collision?
I'm sorry.
I didn't have any information that those scratches were caused from a prior collision. And so when I looked at the evidence, I knew it was in that same area, the right rear tail light. So when I looked at it, it didn't quite fit the pedestrian thing. So when you showed me the video, or I saw the video like a year ago on Court TV, I said that could be.
You asked the question, so next,
I
keep
did.
going.
It's not responsive.
He's answering. Next
trying to-
question. Then
You guys
go
have
ahead.
scientifically
Hold on.
thought the scratches were.
Hold on. Ask
Sorry.
a question, Mr. Jackson.
You know what normal wear and tear on a vehicle is, right?
Yes.
Bumpers get scratched myriad ways, correct?
Correct.
Get scratched in a grocery store parking lot, right?
Yes.
Shopping cart can bounce off the back of the car and scratch the bumper, scratch the side of the car, quarter panel or something, right?
Sure.
I mean, I don't want to go through it, but there's thousands and thousands and thousands of ways that a car can get a scratch, correct?
Correct.
My question is, as you sit here, do you have any scientific evidence that those scratches occurred on January 29th at approximately 12:45 a.m.?
What do you mean by scientific evidence?
Oh my God, he did not just say that. What scientific evidence do you have to support the fact that those scratches came from a human being? What do you mean by scientific evidence? If the jury is not like rolling their eyes in trial number 1, like right here, I would be shocked because I am rolling my eyes back so hard I can see my background from this vantage point.
Do you have any evidence whatsoever that you can point to that those scratches occurred on that date and at that time rather than any other time in the history of that vehicle?
Like I said earlier, the video seems to appear that's what it looks like that could have been from.
Well, you said on Friday, let's talk about those scratches for a second. Because
Okay.
when you testified Friday, you were pretty clear. You said that, let's see if I can find it exactly. You said, quote, the dent and scratches for his hand could be those are consistent with striking the Lexus. You remember saying that?
Yes, on the tailgate.
Okay, so the dent and scratches you talked about on Friday, you said were from his hand.
Yes, hand in the glass cup.
Okay. Then are those the same scratches you're talking about in terms of the bumper?
No.
So,
What are you talking about? The scratch inside the bumper that we've been talking about?
correct.
Okay,
That's what I'm
no.
asking about. Okay. Is there any way to scientifically date a scratch?
No.
If you go out in the parking lot right now, even as an accident reconstructionist, if you walk out in the parking lot right now and look at a Toyota Camry sitting there, it's got a scratch on it. There's no analysis that you could engage in to date that scratch, could you?
Objection.
So you can ask it differently, Mr.
But
Jackson.
he's an expert. He
Is there any
can
way
answer
that you could,
hypotheticals.
in general, look at a scratch and say, that scratch is from such and such date.
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Nothing.
Yeah, that's
I'll
allowed.
allow it.
You cannot say you can look at evidence and shows that It may have been older than what the newer evidence would be, but there's no way to say that specific date and time and that a scratch would came from.
Right.
A scratch would came from? This dude is so nervous, he can't even English, bro. He can't even proper English. He's just, and words, she's hard when you're lying and trying to just skim over the stuff. He mumbles a lot, if you've noticed. If you've watched parts 1 and 2, which are in the same playlist as this one. He's constantly like, because when he mumbles, he can try and like get away with an answer that is not correct. Because when you are confident in the way that you are speaking, you should not have any trouble enunciating the words. But when you're feeling a little bit nervous, you might not want to... You see the difference?
And it's possible that any or all of those scratches on the Lexus could have predated January 29th, correct?
No.
No.
That's not possible.
The ones that are on from the taillight and the other parts of it?
Scratches anywhere on the car.
Depends on what you got to pick the other scratches. You got to show me other scratches on the car.
I'm saying it's possible, since you can't date the scratch, it's possible that any or all of those scratches could predate January 29th. It's a simple question, right? It's possible.
Yeah.
You're being pretty broad on your scratches here.
I'm not being broad. Let me ask it a different way. Let me ask it again. Is it possible that any or all of the scratches that are noted on that car predate January 29th?
Any and all of the scratches? See, that's what I'm saying. You're being pretty broad. Any and all scratches on the car
Answer that question.
that it predate.
Objection.
I don't know every single scratch on that car. I could mean
Overruled. So can you answer that question?
no.
No. Oh, he's so upset. He finally got cornered. Did you hear that really, really long sigh? He tried to be evasive. He tried to play. He tried to jump around. He tried to like do some trampoline moves. And finally he had to admit it. No, I can't. I hate admitting bad facts. That's what that was. And he knows it's a good fact for Karen. And he doesn't want to admit it. Schmuck.
Glass on the rear bumper of the SUV, correct?
Yes.
You're a
You said
schmuck, sir.
Something about that glass coming from the cup.
Correct.
You also said that you did not see anything on that SUV that could be the source of those glass pieces on the bumper, right?
Yes.
When you did your reconstruction and your analysis, were you informed that none of the glass pieces, not one of them, could be matched to the cup?
I don't know anything about that. I don't know that.
So
Because it doesn't help your case.
knew that the glass pieces on the bumper do not match the cup. Did that change your opinion
Objection.
about that glass?
What?
Can you answer that question?
I cannot.
Why would you object?
Can't
Yeah.
answer the question.
Nope.
It's what was told to me as evidence.
Got it.
Oh, it's what was told to me. Hey, buddy, this is the evidence. Sir, yes, sir. Do you have any independent analysis? No, this was what was told to me is the evidence here, sir. This is the evidence, sir. Did you try and independently use your brain? What brain, sir? Do not have one, sir. Well, thank you for that. Moving on.
By the crime scene.
Who told you?
As crime scene that was there, it says it's glass from the cup. When I did my initial inspection, that's what it was on from.
That's not what you just said. You said that's what was told to me.
Yeah, by crime. No, yeah, I continue. By crime scene. While I was at my inspection.
A crime scene can speak? By a crime scene? Who was the person? By a crime scene investigator? Do they have a name? Yeah, their name is Sergeant... This guy is incorrigible. My God, I forgot how good this is.
It was told to me by the crime scene when I was at my inspection, at the initial inspection.
So what you meant by that's what was told to me is the crime scene talked to you.
Yes.
Crime scene say anything else?
I don't know what else you want me to say.
Oh my God. Oh.
Trooper Proctor tell you that those pieces of glass on the bumper are somehow associated with the cup?
No.
No.
Just the crime scene told you.
Correct.
Sorry, I can't help it.
But if you knew that the crime scene was incorrect, and in fact those glass pieces don't match the cup, would that change your opinion?
Objection.
Sustained.
Would it change your opinion in any way if you knew that the glass pieces do not match the cup?
Objection.
I'll allow that. Can you answer that question?
No, I cannot.
No.
Of course not, because it doesn't help
I'm
your
sorry.
case.
No, no.
I don't. It's a glass from a cup. It's a glass. It's not.
It's not relevant. Let's. Can we go back talking about things that I want to talk about and less things that you want to talk about, Jackson? Like, pretty please with a cherry on top. I'm very uncomfortable here. Can we please like move it along? Like, stop asking the right questions. Can you start asking a little bit more of the wrong questions? I'm having trouble like dancing around you here. It's hard. It's really hard. Oh dear God.
Right.
It's glass.
But if I told you it didn't match that cup,
What?
your opinion.
Objection.
Does that change your opinion?
Are we talking which cup? We never established which cup we're talking about.
How many cups have we been talking about, Trooper?
You said that cup. One at from the scene. Okay.
That cup? I'm talking.
I just want to make sure that we're on. The
No.
correct
I'm
path
talking about the cup that I was drinking at in New Year's. You.
here. I'm clear what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Really sure.
All I said, it's
It's found next to John O'Keefe's body in the snow at 34 Fairview on January 29, 2022. You got the cup in mind?
yes.
Okay. That's the cup. When I say cup, that's the cup.
Okay.
Would it change your opinion if I told you that the glass pieces on the bumper don't match that cup?
What's my opinion on it? All I said was glass from a cup. That's the only opinion I had. It's glass from a cup that was on a bumper.
Are you saying a cup?
A cup. A cup. It's not glass from the car. That was my opinion on it. I never said it matched to the scene.
You didn't.
I never said that in my thing. I said it's glass from a cup.
In my thing. You mean your report? I never mentioned it in my thing, that it was a thing with the thing. I never mentioned it was a piece of glass from John's cup on the car in my report. Can you at least speak? Like, can you at least pretend to be a professional? I guess even that is difficult for this poor schmuck. It's beyond embarrassing.
It's safe to say you didn't do any testing to determine the forces necessary to shatter a taillight on a 2021 Lexus 570, correct?
I did not do testing.
Your report indicates, we've talked about this a little bit, I'm going to go back to something we talked about earlier this morning. Your report indicates that John O'Keefe came to his final resting place about 7 feet from the roadway, and that's what you based your diagram on, correct?
Yes.
Who told you that number?
I measured it from my diagram.
You should say that again?
I measured it from the diagram.
Okay, what I'm asking is how did it get on the diagram? In other words, who told you that his body was 7 feet from the roadway?
Well, wait, I was told by Lieutenant, was it Gallagher? Paul Gallagher, Captain PT. He told me this is where the body was found. Okay. So I used my devices to mark that location.
Okay, but before you used your devices, he just pointed someplace on the ground and said he was about here, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Did Lieutenant Gallagher tell you that Lieutenant Gallagher never saw John O'Keefe in place at the scene? Did he say that?
No.
Did Lieutenant Gallagher tell you that the first officer on the scene estimated his body at being approximately 15 to 20 feet from the roadway?
No.
If he had told you that, then it changed your diagram?
Objection.
Hello?
He told me this is where he was found. I marked that location. That's all that was.
And you marked basically every other piece of item. Sorry, that was a terrible question. Every other item you marked based on a distance from where you were told John O'Keefe's body came to rest, correct?
Yes.
Again, that was by Lieutenant Gallagher just pointing at the ground and saying it was about here.
Correct.
Was there a single member of the team that was out when you were being shown where the body came to rest? Was there a single member of that team who actually said they saw John O'Keefe's body in place?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
What do you mean team? Canton PD?
Whoever was there, who was there with you when you started doing your measurements, et cetera? For Fairview?
It's Lieutenant Gallagher. That's who.
Just you and him?
And myself, and I was training a trooper at the time. She was there.
You were training a trooper at the time?
Yes.
Okay, so it was my mistake. I assumed that there were several people out there. It was just you and Lieutenant Gallagher.
Yes, that's why I was confused by the team.
All right. And again, Lieutenant Gallagher didn't tell you that he never saw John O'Keefe's body in place.
No, I don't believe so.
You did document in your report that the items that you noted on your diagram that we just looked at a few minutes ago, those were found by the CERT team, correct?
Yes.
And you indicated in your report that the members of the CERT team located a single Nike sneaker that's noted on your report. Is that right? On your
Correct.
diagram, rather.
Yes.
You also indicated that, quote, in the same area, 2 red plastic pieces and 1 clear piece of plastic of a taillight was discovered.
Yes.
So your report is clear that in total, the items discovered by the CERT team on January 29th were a shoe, right?
Yes.
A partial glass cup broken, correct?
Well, it was that on there. I can't remember if that's on their diagram or if that's what I was told at the scene, but yes.
Sure.
Yes.
You knew that a cup was found?
Yes.
Or you were told a cup was found?
Yes.
And 3 pieces of plastic, 2 red, 1 clear.
Yes.
Not 5 pieces of plastic, correct?
Correct.
You then measured those items, is that right?
I didn't. What do you mean measure them? Like
Measured
at
them
this?
relative to John O'Keefe's final place of rest. 10 feet from it, 12 feet from it, we're gonna go over those numbers.
Yes, I used their report to place those items onto my diagram.
So, I'm going to get to that question in just a second. I want to make sure that we walk through it sort of methodically. You then use some calculation, some tool or something to measure distances. Like there's where I assume John O'Keefe's body was. Here's a final rest place. I'm going to use that as point A, and then I'm going to measure from there and go 7 feet to where the shoe was found, or the first red plastic piece was found, or whatever, right?
Yes.
Who told you where the pieces were found?
Oh, who told you where the pieces were found? That's what we all want to know, because we know that you did not go there and actually find the pieces yourself. You put them on the diagram because Trooper Proctor, the lead investigator, was it him? Was it Brian Albert? Was it Brian Higgins? Was it somebody else on the scene? Was it Lieutenant Gallagher?
We were in Lieutenant Tully's report. He put measurements in his report.
Tully!
And
I have a series on him too. Go check it out in the playlists.
you noted that the shoe was 9 feet.
Yes.
And you put that in your diagram.
Correct.
You noted that the glass cup was 1 foot from John O'Keefe's body, correct?
Correct.
1 foot is about that long, right?
Yes. It was. They basically said it was found next to him.
Right.
Yes.
A piece of red plastic 7 feet from John O'Keefe's body, correct?
Correct.
A clear plastic piece 10 feet from John O'Keefe's body, right?
Yes.
And a red plastic piece 12 feet from John O'Keefe's body, correct?
Correct.
What part of his body were you measuring from?
Like center of mass.
So he's 6'2".
Yes.
Did Lieutenant Gallagher tell you where his center mass was?
No, it measured from. He just said he was here, so I tried to put like where his head, where his feet, and try to measure the middle between those two.
So ultimately, because Lieutenant Gallagher was not at the scene when he was found, Lieutenant Gallagher had to sort of guess where the body was found, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
You had no photographs of John O'Keefe in place, correct?
Correct.
There were no establishing shots and there were no perspective shots, correct?
Correct.
There were no relative shots, meaning this is relative to that, and I can measure that and figure out distances, correct?
What, like from the picture?
Yeah, so you know how that's done in science, right? You want to find out a relative position of something, so you take 2 or 3 or 4 shots. You know that something is never going to move, like, I don't know, a flagpole. You can measure from there.
Sure.
You get cross coordinates, right?
Sure.
Left and right, and where the two coordinates match, that's where the item is, right?
Correct.
None of that was done, right?
From the pictures,
None of that was done to do your measurements.
like I said, I used the measurements from, I measured on my diagram in itself, and I measured from those points off my diagram.
Right, Trooper, but the starting point was a guess, wasn't it?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you have to sort of guess at where you thought John O'Keefe's body was?
I didn't guess where his body was.
Did you guess at his center of mass?
Yes, you did.
Objection.
Did you guess?
I did not guess.
Next question.
I estimated. I didn't guess, counselor. I did my best estimate. It's just a body, man. What's with all the... Why do you guys care so much? It's just a dead cop. Mind your own business. She killed him. Can we please move on? The apathy of these people is just so telling into their mindset. It's absolutely appalling. Like, absolutely appalling.
You stated in your report that you Google mapped Miss Reed's path of travel. Well, let me ask you a different question. If I could withdraw that question with the court's permission.
Yes.
Your diagram has all those arrows pointing at specific locations. Very, very specific. Very thin arrows point, correct?
Yes.
If you start off with an incorrect assumption about where John O'Keefe's body was, right? Hypothetically, if you were to start off with an incorrect assumption where John O'Keefe's body was, every single item that you note on that diagram would then be off
Garbage in,
as well.
garbage out.
Objection.
Is that true?
I mean, I guess hypothetically, depends on how off you want to be.
And the answer is yes.
So, yes.
Hypothetically.
You stated in your report that you Google mapped Miss Reed's path of travel on January 29th based on what you determined to be, quote, it's likely that
I just realized, folks, I can't wait for this guy to take the stand in trial number 2. Oh my God, it's going to be amazing.
and you said that it's, quote, it's likely that the two events, meaning the triggering events, occurred at the same time the Lexus was at 34 Fairview at the time of the collision, correct?
Yes.
The first triggering event was what? Was it a 3-point turn or a U-turn? I thought I heard you say both.
I guess it would be more, 3-point turns, essentially, I guess it's a 3-point turn.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, did you say U-turn on Friday? Because I could have sworn I heard that.
It could have been a U-turn. I mean, it's still turning around. So you had to make a U-turn when that's a 3-point turn or not, but it's still.
Okay, but I mean, not to be picky, but sort of my job.
Okay.
A U-turn is traveling in one direction. Turning, right? Turning the wheel, never changing gear, since it's reverse or anything, just turning, right? A 3-point turn requires moving forward, stopping, changing gears, moving backward, stopping, changing gears, using a steering input, and then moving off, correct?
Correct.
Well, those are two very different maneuvers, right? You'd agree.
It's, in a sense, I was trying to say she made a U-turn. Like you can say they made a U-turn. It's a 3-point turn. They're still making a U-turn, and I didn't mean it as like
What?
she literally had to make a direct U-turn. She was turning around, and obviously the diagram or the trigger shows that.
So again, life is a cartoon, Mr. Jackson, to me, says Trooper Paul. U-turn, schmoo-turn, 3-point turn, she turned around, military turn. Like, they're all turns. What do you care? Stop asking. Stop asking questions. You're making me look bad. No, sir. You make you look bad.
3-point turn.
Well, I mean, I guess you could have said reversing direction, right?
That could have been a better way to say it, yes.
You didn't say that. You said U-turn. So are you changing your testimony from Friday that it was a 3-point turn, or could it possibly have been a U-turn? Which is it?
It's a 3-point turn.
Okay. Because you have evidence of the starting, stopping, changing gears, reversing, stopping, changing gears, turning.
That's correct.
So when you said U-turn, that was inaccurate.
Objection.
The objection sustained.
This guy is just, oh my gosh.
Let's get back to the path of travel when you began your analysis. How did you know
Look at
what the
Yannetti's
Lexus's
face.
path of travel was that day?
I got the directions from Trooper Proctor.
And what did Trooper Proctor tell you
There it
in
is.
terms of the path of travel specifically? A starting point and an ending point tell you the exact path Lexus traveled.
No, all I got was mostly just the addresses.
Okay, so if you've got two
The
points
addresses.
on a map, and Trooper Proctor told you Lexus traveled from point A to point B, there are multiple ways to get from point A to point B. You'd agree with that, right?
Yes.
You picked one of those, right? The path of travel includes freeways, etc., right?
Yes.
But as you sit here, you don't know what her actual path of travel was, because it could have been something different, right?
It could have been something. That's why I gave a range on my diagram.
Do you have any scientific evidence to establish what her actual path of travel is, or did you just guess at the path of travel?
That's a good question.
I got the addresses from Trooper Proctor. I put them into the thing, and then one of the possibilities of 36 miles, and that was after looking at all of them, at 36 miles is a possibility.
Right, understood. So that's what I'm trying to get to, Trooper Paul.
Okay.
That's one possibility. There was 36 miles, one route of travel, right?
Correct.
There were other possibilities, right?
Yes.
So between and among the possibility that you picked and the other possibilities, you just sort of had to guess. And there's no science to it. You just said, I'm going to pick that one and put it in my report, right?
No, that's not how that worked.
Okay, why don't you tell me how that works?
Her odometer mileage on the car from the download and the time we had the vehicle shows 36 miles. So when I plugged those addresses into Google, it came up as 36 miles as a possibility.
And you knew that there was another route of travel to the same location, correct?
What do you mean?
There were alternative routes of travel to the same 2 points, from and to the same points, correct?
Yes. Yes.
You could have tried to extract the location data from Ms. Reed's cell phone to determine the exact route of travel, correct?
I don't know. I don't have access to do cell phone extractions.
Wait.
So that-
Wait. So you couldn't ask your colleague, Nicholas Barros or Nicholas Guarino, hey, listen, can you do a phone extraction for me real quick? Because I don't know how to do this. Yeah, sure, buddy, no problem. What do you need? Path of travel for Karen Reed on January 29th. Yeah, what time? This time frame. Cool. I'll get it to you tomorrow. Hey, Paul. Yeah. You know you needed that thing with the thing on the extraction? Yeah, here it is. I sent it to you. Oh, thanks, man. No? Anybody? Bueller? No one. Okay.
That answers my next question. You did not even attempt to do that, did you?
No.
You did attempt to analyze the key cycles for the Lexus in order to determine placement of that vehicle. You just talked about that with Mr. Lapper, right?
Yes.
I want to be clear for the jurors because most people have probably never heard of key cycles. A key cycle does not have any location data associated with it whatsoever, does it?
Correct.
It just shows you when a vehicle is turned on, the ignition is on, and off. That's one cycle, correct?
No.
No?
Tell me what I've got wrong.
Key cycle, the car doesn't have to be turned on.
Say that again.
It goes from off to run. The engine does not have to be started to off.
Understood. So if it turns on, well, every single ignition is a key cycle. Every time the engine turns on, that's absolutely a key cycle. Once it's turned off again, right?
That gets recorded as an ignition cycle.
Right. So a key cycle can be an ignition cycle, but it doesn't have to be an ignition cycle. It also can be just turning the sort of accessory on, right?
The key cycles turn the accessories on.
All right. But it doesn't, my question was, and where we started with this conversation is, it does not have any location data on it whatsoever.
Correct.
All right. So when you drive your car, you walk out, get in the car, turn the ignition on, start to drive, get to your location, turn it off. That's one key cycle, right?
One ignition cycle.
But and I'm going to use the word key cycles because you use the word key cycles in your report. That's what we're talking about.
I'm using that because that's how the trigger was read.
That's how what?
The triggers were read on the text stream. That's how they read them, key cycles.
By key cycles.
Yes.
I'm going to use that phrase key cycle.
Okay.
We're talking about the same thing. It's an ignition on, ignition off cycle.
It doesn't have to be on.
So you mean the engine doesn't have to be turned on?
Correct.
Right. But if you're seeing triggering events, right, not trying to be tricky here, seeing triggering events, your car's in motion, what does that tell you? The ignition's on or off?
The ignition is on.
Right. That's what I'm getting to. But it has no location data associated with whatsoever. It could be here, it could be in Wyoming. The car wouldn't know the difference. It's not to report the difference to you, correct?
On the key cycle,
Right.
on just the key cycle. The key cycle does not give out locations.
Say that again?
The key cycle does not give a location.
Right. So your analysis is trying to go from a known key cycle that you can figure out and then work backward from there to try to figure out where the car was on a particular ignition cycle or key cycle, correct?
I didn't use the key cycle to put it back.
Say that again?
I did not use the key cycle to place the car back in its location. The key cycles were, all I got from the key cycles is that they occurred close within proximity to the time we've had the vehicle, not basically saying that this was the location based off the key cycle.
Well, let's look at Exhibit 591 with the court's permission.
Okay?
Did you testify on Friday that this is a copy of the exhibit that was put in 591? This is part of your report, correct?
Yes, it is.
And this is a chart that shows when, move to this arrow, that arrow indicates top and bottom where your testing occurred, correct?
Yes.
Okay, if we move over to the left, that is key cycle what?
1164.
Right. So you've testified, and we can turn the lights on. Your Honor, I don't mind if that stays up. We can turn the lights on. I don't think it hurts anything. You stated in your report that there were, quote, 2 triggers recorded on odometer 12629 and key cycle 1162, correct?
Yes.
These events were prior to the testing triggers on odometer readings 12665/12666 and at key cycle 1164. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So what we're saying, what you're saying in that report is the triggering events were at 1162, going in reverse in order. 1162 comes before 1164. They're numerical. Is that right?
Yes.
Every single key cycle just tags another number on top of it, right? There's no formula.
Correct.
After 1 comes 2, after 2 comes 3, 4, 5, 6, and then move on, right?
Yes.
So by the time you got the vehicle, there had been 1,164 key cycles on the history of that car, correct?
Correct.
All right. And you knew, and you put in your report, or you know, that the triggering events that you see under 1164, those are yours,
Yes.
right? I mean, that's your testing.
Yes.
And you were very clear that the triggers that you recorded, that you talked to Mr. Lally about, were two key cycles before that,
Yes.
meaning ignition cycles at least, right?
Yes, there were 2 key cycles. That.
Stated in your report, well, let me finish one other point. You said
What
that
is
the mileage
happening?
difference between these 2 triggers and the triggers that occurred while testing was 36 miles. You just said that, right?
Yes.
And the key cycle difference was exactly 2 key cycles, right?
Yes.
1164, 1163, 1162. That's the triggering events, correct?
That's correct.
You also reiterated in your report in paragraph 23, 24, 26, and 29, and also in this exhibit in your CARS report, that the triggers occurred at key cycle 1162, right?
Yes.
You were assisted in your CARS report, I think you mentioned Trooper Zach Clark, is that right?
Yes.
Trooper Proctor assisted to a certain degree, correct?
Yes.
Trooper Carol Larini, is that right?
Yes.
Also, Sergeant Sean Good of Canton PD assisted as well, correct?
Yes, in a sense.
In a sense.
Did they all read the report before it was finalized?
No.
Did you have any supervisor read the report before it was finalized?
Yes.
And he agreed with the assessments in the report?
Yes.
So
I love how Lally's like, objection. Wait, no, never mind. This really hurts my case, but I can't stop it. Damn.
everybody that read the report and you, who authored the report, believed, and it's reflected in that report, that key cycle 1162 contained the two triggers that you're talking about, right?
Yes.
That's the three-point turn, I guess it's now a three-point turn, right? Changing direction, and then
Yes.
the reverse at 24 miles per hour, correct?
Correct.
And you even went on and testified to that exact thing under oath in front of the state grand jury, correct?
Yes. Wait, hold on. I need the text streams?
On the key cycles.
Not in grand jury.
Okay. Testified to it on direct examination on Friday and again this morning.
Yes, correct.
If your testing occurred at key cycle 1164, that means you turned the engine on, the ignition on to start your testing, correct?
Correct.
And that triggering event that we see up there at 1164 initiated your testing. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. So that 1164 is where that's where there's no more unknowns, in other words. Right? You know exactly where the car is, who's in the car, who turned the car on, and what the triggering events were and what they reflected, because you did it, correct?
Correct.
It's you.
Yes.
So that would be the cornerstone, basically, of your entire analysis of the key cycles.
Say again?
The cornerstone, in
Like-
other words, the one known that is immovable, it's immutable, is 1164 began your testing. Is that right?
Objection.
Is that right? I'm going to allow the question.
Yeah, that's when,
good
that's when
question.
the car was in state custody.
All right. So starting at 1164 and counting backward. Before
By the
you
way,
started your
one
testing-
thing I haven't really commented on is his posture. He's very, like, he's leaning against the witness stand. His shoulders are kind of like, they're raised up. They're not relaxed. They're not in a like right now, I'm I'm in a relaxed position. Now my shoulders are tense. You see the difference? Like, he's kind of sitting with his shoulders very, very tensed up. He's extremely stressed as he's testifying. A witness who's telling the truth should not be this stressed. The fact that he's that stressed very easily implies that he's not telling the truth. I mean, it's just 2 + 2 = 4. I don't make this stuff up. This is science, psychology.
You know that the SUV had to be started, the ignition had to be turned over, and it was driven to the Sally Port in Canton at 5:31 p.m. from a tow truck on January 29th, correct?
I didn't know that.
You did or did not?
Did not know that.
Okay. Assuming that the car had to be started and put on a tow truck, that would be key cycle what?
I don't know how. I can't speak to the fact that recorded a key cycle at that time.
I can't hear you.
I can't speak to the fact that we would record a key cycle at that time.
Okay. If the car was turned on and driven onto a tow truck, would that be a key cycle?
I don't know because these keys record different ways, so I can't speak to how or why it did not record on there. All I can speak to is that those are the key cycles. The odometer mileage is more what I was going after on this whole thing.
Trooper Paul, you just said unequivocally, when a car is turned on and then turned off, there's a key cycle.
I said when the car without the ignition on, that's a key cycle.
Right.
That's correct.
That's what I mean, when it's turned on, when the engine turns on.
That's the definition of what it is. I can't speak to why it didn't go on, why it did not record.
Well, let's talk about the ignition cycles
Okay.
before 1164, okay?
Okay.
Obviously, the car had to get to Canton PD because you saw it there, correct?
Correct.
Assume for purposes of my question, the car was turned on, and there's a video of it turning on, driving up onto a flatbed tow truck.
Yes.
that would be ignition cycle, I'm going to use your word, key cycle, ignition cycle, 1163, correct?
Again, ignition cycle, key cycles are two different things.
Which word do you want me to use?
Oh my
If you want to talk about
God.
key cycles, key cycles. You want to talk about ignition cycles? It's ignition cycles when the vehicle gets turned on. A key cycle does not mean to be turned on.
But every single ignition cycle includes a key cycle. You can't have an ignition cycle without a key cycle, correct?
Well, if you want to talk about it, just use the key cycles or ignition cycles. I'm trying to make sure this gets out. I'm sorry. I'm trying to make sure that this gets put out the correct way.
Every ignition cycle includes a key cycle, correct?
In a sense,
By definition, it has to, right?
it doesn't have to. They record multiple different ways.
You can have an ignition cycle without a key cycle.
Dear Lord,
I don't know how they recorded.
Who art
but
in heaven.
It could happen.
Explain
Please
that. How
allow
could that
me
possibly happen?
Because a key cycle is
stay
when it turns
awake
on, not engine running,
and
when
not
it
fall
turns off.
asleep during this
Okay, so
testimony.
we're-
Amen.
Ignition cycle is when it turns on, engine running for 2 seconds, and then comes off.
Okay, so
Or the 2 seconds if it's not on long enough.
I guess right now may be like the worst time to remind you guys to subscribe, but I'm gonna do it anyway because I mean sometimes you have to sit through this kind of testimony. Most of the time, it's a lot more fun. Obviously, this is starting to it's just starting to become so monotonous at this point. But I promise we're almost done with this portion, folks.
It might not record one.
okay, let's ignore the 2 seconds.
Okay.
That's not what we're doing.
Okay.
All right. Let's assume that it's an old-fashioned type of key.
Okay.
Okay? Halfway on, the electricity is on. It's like it used to be called ACC, accessories,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
That's a key cycle, correct?
For that intensive purpose, yes. This vehicle's not a key cycles. They're not a
Then you
thing.
keep turning,
Okay.
and that turns the engine on, right?
It turns engine on, correct.
An ignition cycle, right?
Yes. Well, then turns off.
Single ignition cycle necessarily includes the precursor key cycle, correct? Even though every key cycle might not include an ignition cycle. Would you agree with that?
In that scenario, yes.
No, period.
Okay, with that definition, I want to talk about ignition cycles because I don't want to get confused about accessories. What? Just assume the engine.
Okay.
turns on, all right?
Okay.
If you started your testing at 1164, then if the engine was turned on, thereby indicating initiating a key cycle, driving the car onto a flatbed truck, and then hauling it over to Canton PD, that would be key cycle 1163 in that hypothetical, correct?
It could be.
Okay. Then going backward from there, if the SUV was, I'm sorry, let me add one event that I just forgot. It had to get off the tow truck in Canton and be driven into the Sally Port. Did you ever see that video?
No.
Being driven in.
No.
If there was a video showing that the car was actually driven into the Sally Port, that would necessarily be a key cycle, correct?
Possibly.
Okay.
What do you
So
mean
that would be
possibly?
Cycle 1163. My mistake. I was missing one, right?
Okay.
Before that, if the car was turned on and driven onto the flatbed to get to Canton, that would be key cycle 1162 in order, correct? We're going back.
It's possible.
All right.
Why can't he just admit it?
Before that, if the car was started and the car was driven from One Meadows Avenue to Karen Reed's parents' home in Dighton, that would be another key cycle, 1161, correct?
They're possible.
Before that, if the SUV was started and driven by Miss Reed from the garage at John O'Keefe's house to Jennifer McCabe's house at 5:07 in the morning, that would be another key cycle, correct? 1160. Is that right?
It's possible.
And before that, if the SUV was started and driven by Miss Reed to the waterfall, from the waterfall to 34 Fairview at approximately 12:15 a.m., that would be another key cycle, 1159, right?
It's possible.
I want to be clear. The reason that these numbers diagram, they don't go directly in order, right? Not every single number is in order on this left-hand column, because this is only a diagram of when triggering events occur, right?
Yes.
Something unusual about the operation of the vehicle, correct?
Yes.
And it's clear that from the data, there was no triggering event at key cycle 1159, was there?
No.
Bam.
So assuming the driving events that I just told you, right? Assuming for purposes of my question that the driving events started at 11:59, driving over to 34 Fairview from the waterfall, then driving at 5:07 in the morning over to Jen McCabe's house, 11:60, then driving to Dighton, her parents' house, 11:61. Then the car being seized in Dighton by Trooper Proctor, 11:62. Then the car being taken off the flatbed and driven into the Sallyport at Canton, 11:63. Your testing starts at 11:64. That would mean that at 11:62, that key cycle would include the time in which Trooper Proctor had possession of that car, correct?
No.
What?
Assuming my hypothetical,
Your hypothetical?
yes.
If that's hypothetically how it works, then yes.
Then what?
If that's hypothetically how it works, then yes.
Oh my God. This guy just can't take a yes for an answer.
On June 9th, 2022, you were asked by a grand jury whether you knew or had done any scientific testing to determine the distance a body would actually travel if struck by a vehicle. Remember that?
Not that specifically. Not in that way.
Do you remember answering that you had not, I'm just paraphrasing, that you had not done you hadn't finished your report yet?
Why don't you show him? He said he didn't remember it that way.
Take a look at middle of the page. Your answer starts at about line 12, but the question above it is probably informative. You were asked, does that remind you that you were asked by a grand jury if you could calculate how far a body would move having been struck by a vehicle?
Yes.
And you indicated, quote, yeah, there's certain calculations we can do with that, would figure out if the car backed up, hit somebody, and then they go a certain amount of distance, and it's based on miles per hour, the speed of the vehicle, the striking vehicle, and stuff.
And
Remember saying
stuff.
that?
Yes.
What did you mean by stuff?
I don't know.
You said that the calculations would be based on miles per hour and stuff. Did you ever do any stuff
I can't.
to
I
test
can't.
the grand jury's question?
I can't.
No, we cannot calculate anything from this collision.
Say that one more time.
We cannot calculate anything from this collision.
Who's we?
I mean, me, the role me.
Well, you know John O'Keefe's weight, right?
What's that?
You know John O'Keefe's weight, 217 pounds, right?
Yes.
Did you know that?
I don't know his weight, no.
Oh my God.
You know the weight of the vehicle?
Yes.
What's the weight of the vehicle? Gross weight?
What's the gross weight?
Yeah.
I think it's approximately 7,300 pounds.
Okay. Were you able to calculate the mass of the vehicle?
I did not calculate the mass of the vehicle.
Well, you told the grand jury that you were planning on doing that kind of stuff to calculate how far a person would travel being struck at that speed with a car of that weight. You didn't do those calculations?
No, because the calculations would vastly underestimate the speed of the vehicle.
The what?
You testified, again, my report isn't done yet. I'm going to look into it. I'm looking into all that stuff, end quote, correct?
Yes.
There's that word again. It's been more than 2 years since that statement at the grand jury. Is your report finished?
Yes, it is.
Did you engage in any of those calculations?
I looked into it. this type of collision I would not be able to use the formulas for this type of collision.
Well, let's talk about those formulas. How would you calculate how far a
What?
body at rest would travel after being struck by an object in
Hold
motion?
on a second.
How'd you
I have to comment on this. I can't let this go. Not like this, folks. You testified at the grand jury. You lied to them. You said, I am going to do calculations and stuff to make sure that, like, you know, when this actually gets before a real jury, like, oh shoot, like I'm testifying right now. Oopsie daisy. That I will do all my calculations and stuff to calculate the mass of the vehicle, the weight of the vehicle, weight and mass of John O'Keefe's body, the impact trajectory, the flight of John O'Keefe's body, I guess, when he was still alive, that trajectory, the impact, that damage that it would do to his body, the impact that damage it would do to the vehicle. None of that was done because the stuff was completely irrelevant because the murderer is sitting in the courtroom, Brian Albert. Ridiculous, folks. Absolutely ridiculous. I think when he finally testifies, when Trooper Paul finally testifies, we may go back to this series very briefly, not like doing it like this, because we have 5 episodes. This is the final episode. We're going to conclude his cross-examination and the recross. It's very short. It's about 6 minutes. So we're going to do both of those today. And I made a decision, actually. I just wanted to tell you all. Brian Albert, his testimony from the previous trial, I'm going to save. I'm going to save for a little bit. Instead, I'm going to give you guys witnesses from trial number 2. We're going to start stacking them because we have a lot to cover. What I want to do is I want to continue premiering 3 videos a day, 1 p.m. short, 4 p.m. new trial video, and 7 p.m. new trial video. That's what we're going to do for a little bit, probably. Because I'm done with trial number 1, save for Brian Albert. And when Brian Albert actually takes the witness stand, that's when I'm going to premiere Brian Albert trial number 1 in my vault. So be on the lookout for that when he finally testifies, which will probably be in a couple weeks. So it's not that far away. It'll be either May or June for certain, 100%. He's going to testify over the next 30 days, I would say, at some point. And it's up to Hank Brennan to decide and determine when he's going to call him. If you noticed, Hank is very willy-nilly about his witnesses. He calls a firefighter, then he calls a cop, then he calls Jennifer McCabe, like a lay witness, the mastermind, to make sure to lay the groundwork and the foundation. Then before that, he calls Kerry Roberts, Jen McCabe's mouthpiece, and then he randomly just calls the meteorologist, and then he's back to another trooper. Let's talk about the shoes. Like, he's so disjointed because he's trying to confuse the jury. And believe me when I say this, the jury is picking up on everything. Like, why are we doing this in such a disjointed order? Oh, because I'm trying to confuse them. Oh, so that's why. Okay.
In pedestrian collisions, I use a Searle formula, Searle throw formula.
A what formula?
Searle.
What does that mean?
It's a type of formula that we use for a calculation of post-impact
So
or speeds for pedestrians.
that includes certain principles of physics to calculate that, right?
Did you do that?
What do you mean?
I'm sorry?
What do you mean by certain forms of physics?
There would be physics calculations that would be required to figure out how far a body at rest would move, having been struck by an object in motion.
Right.
That's a basic principle of
Yeah, I guess you could say though.
I guess you could say that.
Can you describe for the jurors exactly what calculations you would need?
You know, because you and I both know, chat, is, you know, physics is malleable. I mean, it changes every day. And I know some of you are going to be like, well, Larry, actually it does. You know, you got quantum physics and quantum mechanics, and they do find things that are malleable and they change. We're not dealing with atomic level physics here. We're not dealing with Schrodinger's physics. You know, it's both alive and dead at the same time. We're not dealing with quantum mechanics on an atomic level. We're dealing with basic physics that have existed for almost 400 years, unchanged. Isaac Newton, an object in motion is going to stay in motion unless acted upon by another object. Force equals mass times acceleration, if memory serves. Please correct me in the chat, in the comments. I'm literally going off memory right now. I just remember this from college. You know, for me, that was 2006. I remember in 2006 learning about F equals ma. It's something I'll never forget. Force equals mass times acceleration. And this guy's like, well, it varies. Physics, you know, changes. Physics hasn't changed since like 1653 when Isaac Newton made his discovery, whenever that was. It was like 1650s or 1660s. Look it up. Correct me. Give me the exact date in the comments below. And while you do that, if you've ever been injured by a dog bite or a car wreck or a truck wreck or anything similar due to someone else's negligence and you're not at fault, call us. 1-844-774-HURT. Because we know physics, we understand physics, and we recover millions of dollars for our clients, and we want to recover money for you as well. Oh my God. This guy is incorrigible. Physics changes. What type of physics are you referring to? Because there's just so many different kinds. The stupidity, the incompetence, no. I can't say that. The criminality is unmatched. These guys are criminals. Criminals. They're committing crimes against society, crimes against the people, and crimes against Karen Reed. Let's keep going.
To employ to determine how far a body at rest would travel, having been struck by an object in motion.
So, in this scenario, in this collision, it's more of a side swipe. So he did not sustain
A side swipe?
He did not.
Wait. Whoa. Hold up. If it was a side swipe, how would he fly through the air, 10, 12, 15 feet? If it was just side swipe, wouldn't he just like kind of spin in place then? Mr. Physics? Mr. Different Kinds of Physics? Hello?
Speed of the vehicle, post impact with the vehicle to BL calculations. His center of mass was offset from the vehicle. So we would vastly underestimate his speed. So that's why I did not do a formula. If he was more in line with behind the vehicle, he would have been projected forward, and using that projection forward, he would have been able to get more closer to the actual speed of the vehicle during that post-impact travels.
Well, that presumes a couple of things, Trooper Paul. That presumes that he was quote-unquote sideswiped, right?
Presumed?
Presumed by you. You didn't see how he was hit, did you?
Based on the evidence, it appeared to be a side swipe.
That's your opinion.
Yes.
That's just reading the evidence.
You're saying that the principles of physics as we know them today in modern mathematics is thwarted by a sideswipe?
Objection.
Oh, that is a great question. The basic concept of physics and mathematics is thwarted because of sideswipe, because we exist outside the realm of physics and mathematics in your scenario?
What you're saying?
The calculations that are out there, you can get a speed, it would just underestimate the speed.
I have secondhand embarrassment.
You would have to know what the initial momentum of the object is that's in motion, correct?
Of what object?
Oh my God, the car!
Paul?
I would have to know that speed.
Yeah, you'd have to know what the initial momentum is, not speed, momentum. There's a difference,
Okay.
right? Would you agree with that?
No.
No? Wait, you momentum and speed. He's like Amber Heard. I use momentum and speed synonymously. I use donate and pledge synonymously. I use momentum and speed synonymously. Like, oh my God, this is so good.
You wouldn't have to calculate what the initial momentum is of the object in motion to determine the distance of the body at rest would move?
Well, in that sense, are we talking about trying to find the speed of the vehicle? That's usually what we're trying to do.
Right, okay. Well, let's put the speed of the vehicle aside. Let's talk about initial momentum. What's the formula for calculating initial momentum?
I don't know.
There's different types of momentum formulas.
No, there isn't.
Actually, one.
There's one.
Formula's to calculate momentum.
Objection.
Even I know this. And I took physics 20 years ago, man. What the hell?
Sustained.
To calculate momentum, there is a single...
So sustained. Ask it differently.
Isn't it true, Trooper Paul, that there is a singular calculation for determining initial momentum? That is P equals M times V, where P is the momentum. You're solving for that. M is mass. You multiply that by velocity. Is that right? It's pretty simple.
You wouldn't use that in a pedestrian collision.
What?
Is the pedestrians somehow magically out of the realm of physics?
Objection.
Sustained.
Is a pedestrian out of the realm of physics and calculations?
No, it's the weight differential between the pedestrian and the vehicle.
So? How is that relevant?
If the vehicle is too heavy and the body is too light, you can't calculate the initial momentum.
That's what you just said.
Yes.
What?
Got it. Where'd you learn that?
It's in my math class. We don't use momentum for a vehicle to vehicle.
Math class?
The crash reconstruction classes I have taken.
Got it. Do
He
you
said he
engage-
called it a math class. He called it a math class. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. I am dying. This is the best video I've ever made. Oh my god.
To apply the theory of conservation of momentum in calculating these data?
Do I need to calculate the conservation of momentum?
Or of of conservation of momentum?
Yes.
You know what that is? There's an equation for that as well, right?
Yes.
You know what that is?
Not off the top of my head, but yes.
Oh god.
Based on the basic principles of physics, is the total momentum of the collision greater or less than the total momentum after the collision? Total momentum before the collision, is it greater or less than the total momentum?
Of course it's gonna
after
be
the
greater.
collision?
Always.
Basic question.
What type of collision?
Oh my god. Doesn't matter.
Paul,
All of them.
they're exactly equal
Yes!
in all respects under
Yes!
the principles of physics, right? That's the theory of the conservation of momentum. Momentum doesn't change.
Yes!
It's
Yes.
transferred from one body to another,
Yes.
correct?
Correct.
Oh,
Did you
Triple
say
Paul
that
learned
to
something new
yours?
today.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Wait, sorry, what did he say? I'm sorry, I'm just so excited. What did he say?
It's
Yes.
transferred from one body to another,
Yes.
correct?
Correct.
Why didn't you say that to the jurors?
Yeah.
Objection.
Yeah, why did you say that? He's so unhappy. Oh, you could tell.
Paul-
He looks so defeated. He's like, look, I don't know this stuff. Nobody told me this is gonna be on the exam in court. Like I just did my basic stuff and nobody told me to prepare for this. Like what the hell, man? Let's see if he has read some stuff in trial number 2. I can't wait for Trooper Paul in trial number 2. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video and comment below.
If you were qualified to, quote, look into all this stuff, you would probably know these answers, wouldn't you?
Objection.
Sustained.
It's true.
Are there any other calculations that
Called
you
out.
made to figure out the stuff that you were talking to
The
about
stuff.
with the grand jury?
Love it.
Objection.
Sustained.
I love it.
How about calculating the final velocity of the objects after the collision? Would that be important?
What objects?
That would be John O'Keefe's body, sir. Object
I don't.
that you claim was flying through the air 30 feet.
Objection.
Oh,
Sustained.
30 feet. Sorry,
How
30
about
feet.
calculating the displacement using kinematic equations? Would you be able to do that?
The displacement of the body?
In order to calculate how far the body would move based on the mass of the object striking the body, could you use displacement using kinematic equations?
So, like I said before, the side swipe, he would not have gotten 100% of the vehicle, 100% of the speed of the striking vehicle. It would have vastly underestimated this vehicle. You couldn't hit a person and side swipe them, spin them off to the side, and have that and get a speed from those calculations.
So you're saying,
Wait. Okay, so now he admits that the body spun and then flew 30 feet? What on earth is this, man? How is that? That's not physically possible. That's not humanly possible. To Trooper Paul, life is like a video game where characters just get plucked by the user and just placed, and then cars just get boop, oh, there's a little broken taillight, and she drives away. And there's a body, and then nobody sees that body because why would they? Because they're the real criminals. But no. They're the innocents. They're the innocents. Unbelievable. Like Jackson asked the right question. Does John O'Keefe's body exist outside the realm of physics? He added the word magically for the jury, and then he removed it because Lally objected. And it was beautiful. This is one of the most beautiful interactions between lawyer and dumbass witness that I have ever seen. Ever. This guy is not an expert. He's beyond not an expert. He is the definition of a layperson pretending to be an expert. The textbook definition of, I took a class and I kind of sort of know a couple things and that's about it. But I'm going to testify as if I have full knowledge of how this works. Oh, such a grave mistake by the government, and I'm loving every second. Give me more, please, more.
that the discipline of physics cannot figure out how far John O'Keefe's body would move. But you personally figured out that he would have flown now somewhat, or been projected somewhat 30 feet.
Objection.
Sustained.
But it's
Are you saying that the
true.
principles of physics are incapable of determining with the proper calculations how far John O'Keefe's body would have moved given the collision at issue?
Objection.
Is that what you're saying, Trooper?
No.
Okay, next question.
Well, you just said because it was a sideswipe, all these calculations, these physics calculations are inapplicable, right?
I'm saying it would underestimate the speed and the distance.
The truth is, Trooper Paul, you have no idea what all these physics calculations mean, do you?
Objection.
Sustained.
You've
It's
not
a-
been trained in physics formally, have you?
Yes.
You have been,
It's incorporated into the classes.
right? You had a few classes that use the word physics, but you haven't been formally trained in physics, have you?
Objection.
Sustained.
Why?
You haven't been formally trained in kinematics, correct?
It's in the aspects of all
Wait,
our
hold on. Why is he objecting to the physics, but he's not objecting to the kinematics? What's the difference, Lally? Oh, there is no difference. You're just randomly objecting whenever you don't like the question. Got it. Thank you.
construction classes.
You haven't been formally trained and hold no degrees in biomechanics, do you?
I do not have a degree in biomechanics.
In fact, basically what you did in this case was calculated emission cycles. And you got those wrong, right?
Objection.
Sustained. Come on, Mr.
Jury heard
Jackson.
it.
Ask the appropriate part of the question, you'll get it.
Let me ask you this. Based on your reconstruction, nearly 2-year investigation, exactly how was that taillight shattered?
The tail
Explain it
light.
to us.
How does the taillight? What do you? It gets so the taillight in this case was shattered when it was struck John O'Keefe's arm.
Struck.
Exactly what part of his arm?
It, based on what I saw for his injuries, was from the upper part of his arm down.
Was his arm out? And it just struck the arm on a hinge? Was it in front of him? You did the reconstruction?
It looked,
Here's exactly how his body was positioned when he was struck by that.
Good question.
so it looks like his arm was more kind of like this. If I can try to get that.
You're indicating out by his side, correct?
Yes.
All right. And the taillight would have struck his arm, right?
Yes.
Not his torso.
Yes.
Okay. So
So wait a second. Hold on a second. Pause. If his arm was out like this when he was struck, wouldn't the arm break or have a fracture? I mean, there's a 7,600-pound vehicle impacting a human being. No bruises? No breaks? No fractures? Is he Wolverine? Are his bones made of titanium? And if this was true, how wouldn't the impact cause the arm to kind of come into the body and then he would just fall? How from this? I mean, think about it. Car hits you. Do you just start flying in the air like this? No. Physics, again, momentum, force. The force is going to be applied to the arm. The arm is going to come in and then you're going to fall. You're not going to fly 30 feet. And if that truly did happen, the back of Karen's SUV would have been completely destroyed. You would have seen, the impact from, it would just be like a little taillight, like, ooh, there you go. There's a nice little taillight. This is going to be another acquittal. And this time it's going to be on all 3 charges. I'm calling it right now. May 9th, 2025. I'm calling it, folks. It's going to be an acquittal on all 3 charges. I can smell it. Because Trooper Paul is locked in. He can't change his testimony now. It was already over in the first trial, but now they're going to get the acquittal on the second charge. And then all of these criminals are going to go to jail. Hopefully. I am praying that they all get caught and go to jail.
the full mass, the full weight of that truck hit him basically at the elbow. Is that right? Missing his
No.
torso.
I said it, yeah, from upper part of the arm
Right,
down.
that
Yeah.
elbow and the biceps.
I didn't see anything that shows an indication that this lower torso was struck, but
Okay. So his torso,
it's not saying it could not have been a possibility, but I just didn't see anything.
so his torso was spared from being hit, but the arm took the brunt the full force of the vehicle, correct?
Like arm and shoulder, yes.
Okay. And you said he then did a spin, like a sort of a pirouette.
He got spun around possibly the way he struck, it looked like he could have turned around counterclockwise.
Okay. So if he turns around counterclockwise, is he turning around in the air counterclockwise?
Yes, initially.
So he gets hit on the upper biceps, shoulder area, and down to the forearm, right?
Yes,
By an unbroken taillight, right?
yes,
In other words, it's nice and smooth. Nothing, no shards of plastic or anything broken at the time that it made contact with his arm, right?
correct.
Okay. So how did his arm get all cut up?
Because when his arm struck the taillight then cracked, and as the car is driving past him, the taillight could scratch it.
Got it. So he gets hit by the car, not his torso, just the arm. The taillight cracks, and as it passes by, his arm stays with it long enough to get striations, those scratches that we see, those lacerations, I'm sorry, those abrasions that we see, right?
In a sense, yes.
And at the same time, he does a pirouette and flies 30 feet to his final focus.
I don't know if he did a pirouette.
Oh God.
I'm using the word pirouette. He spun around.
He started rotating counterclockwise. I don't know how far he ran counterclockwise, but he started rotating. According to that, would push him to rotate counterclockwise. Whether or not he went counterclockwise all the way to his back toward the ground, it seems like a most likely possibility.
Even the IT guy is like, is this guy for real? He's just kind of, what the hell is this guy smoking? Like, I want some. Oh my God. The level of criminality is unmatched. Don't forget to subscribe.
Did you account for the fact that his arm is on a hinge?
Oh,
Is
there it
what?
is.
Say again?
Did you account for the fact in this scenario that you just told the jurors that his arm is on a hinge?
Hinge. The
On a
elbow.
hinge.
Shoulder?
Okay.
Right? So
It moves.
the arm got hit.
It's not.
Didn't his arm just swing?
I said arm and shoulder area, so his arm could have been considered part of it.
Even if his shoulder got the upper,
Okay.
pointing to his upper biceps. Right? There's no injuries on his shoulder, not a single one, not even a bruise, right?
Like I said, it looked like to me it was from up here. I don't know how far I can up back here, but it was up here.
Well,
So
you're the one that talked about his injuries on his arm.
yes.
That's limited to about mid biceps, to about mid forearm, correct?
Okay.
Right?
Right?
Yes.
It's a
No
question.
injuries on the shoulder, no injuries on the torso, no injuries on the ribs, no injuries on the back, correct? Is that right?
Yes.
So your theory is you got hit on the arm, took the brunt of the force from the taillight on the arm, stayed with the vehicle long enough for the taillight to explode, basically, to shatter. Then these striations get on his arm, these abrasions. Does a pirouette, a spin, counterclockwise, and flies 30 feet in the air to his point of rest.
Yeah. It happened probably a little
Yeah.
faster than that, though.
Wait. Sorry, what?
Yeah. It happened probably a little faster than that, though.
Probably have to go faster than that, though? What does that even mean?
I thought you said he hit his head on the curb.
I said that's one of the possibilities of when you look at the roadway, as he gets spun around kind of clockwise, it's a possibility that the curb is there, any blunt force object on the ground, as the ground is pretty blunt.
Well, except in your scenario that you just told us, he flew through the air onto the light dusting of snow, grass, and dirt.
I didn't say through the air.
Oh, by the way, don't forget, this is before Rock McAlbert joined the fray. There was no Rock McAlbert here. Rock McAlbert joins us in trial number 2.
Say that again.
I didn't say he got thrown through the air.
Okay, I'll use your word. He got projected. Like
Projected doesn't mean it's not incorporating just the throw. Projected just means you get pushed forward. There's two parts of that. There's the air, then there's the ground. Like I said earlier, the tumbling, the rolling, whatever that part of the crash would happen. Projecting is just what we call what happens to a pedestrian post-impact with a crash.
Okay, so a couple questions. If his arm, elbow took the brunt of that entire impact, how do you account for the fact that he didn't suffer a broken bone?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know.
Account for the fact that he didn't have a fracture.
Objection.
System.
What? Why?
How do you account for the fact that he didn't even have a bruise? on the arm.
Objection.
That's sustained too.
Why?
They were
Why?
Yes.
Wait, why? What the hell kind of objections are these? There is no basis for these objections. These are legitimate questions to an expert witness who understands physiomechanics and kinecinematics because he likes movies and lives in a video game.
May I inquire, Your Honor?
Yes.
The truth is, Trooper Paul, you know, having investigated auto pedestrian accidents in the past, that John O'Keefe's injuries do not look anything like an automobile pedestrian accident, do they?
Yes, they do.
Liar.
Isn't it true, Trooper Paul, you came to these opinions and conclusions because Trooper Proctor told you to come to these opinions and conclusions in furtherance of his investigation?
That is not true.
That's why you have these opinions and conclusions that just don't make sense, correct?
That is not true.
And you're just trying to fit a square peg into a round hole.
Objection.
Sustained. All right.
That was so beautiful. Let's do the recross real quick.
Very briefly, I just want to make sure I clear something up about the key cycles. You're not suggesting that every key cycle in the history of the car is on this page, correct?
That's correct.
I'm pulling up Exhibit 591 car.
Okay.
That indicates key cycles that have triggering events, correct?
Yes.
Triggering events are something that the manufacturer includes in basically a list of items that will be a triggering event, correct?
Yes.
It's a list of items basically for mechanics to figure out if there's some unusual driving or unusual event with the vehicle, correct?
Yes.
And by the way, if you've had a triggering event, call us 1-844-774-HURT. An event that triggered you and has led to injuries, physical injuries, not just mental injuries. Those you don't really get money for. Physical injuries, you get money for. We have recovered millions of dollars for our clients when it comes to car accidents, truck accidents, etc. Give us a call, 1-844-774-HURT. Let's get back to the video.
Cycles go in order. They're numerical, 1 through whatever.
Correct.
And the hypothetical that I gave you on cross-examination, with those driving incidents, each one of those would represent a key cycle, correct?
I don't. So, in your hypothetical, I mean, assume that it should create a key cycle, but that you can't just say that key cycle is from that because I didn't just use key cycles. I used the odometer mileage on top of it. So you have to have key cycle and odometer.
Right. Interestingly, though, when you testified on direct examination, you said your analysis, this was on Friday, before the weekend. By the way, over the weekend, did you watch anything on, I don't know, YouTube or any social media?
No.
Nothing.
No.
No. Did you have any conversations with Mr. Lally about these key cycles and problems?
No.
Did you have any conversations with anybody about the issues with the key cycles?
No.
Did you realize at some point between Friday and today that I was probably going to ask you some questions about key cycles?
Objection.
Did you realize that yourself?
I assumed you would ask me loads of information.
So on Friday, you didn't mention that your analysis was based on mileage, did you?
Objection.
Sustained.
On Friday, did you mention that your analysis was predicated on mileage?
Objection.
What?
I'll
Why?
see you at sidebar.
Oh, come on.
May I inquire?
Yes.
Paul, on Friday, you indicated pretty clearly that your analysis was based on the key cycles, starting at 1164 when you started your testing, and 1162, which was the key cycle you claimed on Friday was at 34 Fairview.
It wasn't based on it. That's how I describe it. I said key cycles. I based it on they were close within proximity to each other, but I've always said it's key cycles and odometer mileage, plus all the information within the triggers themselves. So it wasn't just one of the other.
And you said
What?
on Friday that once you started your testing at 1164, it was 2 cycles earlier.
Sorry, is it just me, but does this guy just speak in word salad just so that you don't understand what he's saying? Or is it just me? Let me know in the comments below.
That had the triggering events, meaning 1162, that you claimed were at 34 Fairview.
Yes.
But in the hypothetical, if there were 4 events, 4 key cycle events between 1164 and 1159, it could not have occurred at 1162, correct? 34 Fairview, in my hypothetical.
In your hypothetical, if it recorded a key cycle, then your hypothetical is correct.
Right. And last question, if you got the route of travel incorrect, if your presumption of the route of travel was incorrect on that vehicle in the days earlier, then your mileage would be incorrect also, correct?
Yeah.
Mileage from what? The odometer or from?
Any.
The odometer reading.
Doesn't matter.
The odometer reading is the odometer reading. It's 36.
My point is, your analysis that's based on the odometer reading,
Yeah.
36 miles here,
Would be
12
faulty.
miles there, 2 miles here, 5 miles there. If you got the route of travel wrong and the route of travel was different, your assumptions about the odometer readings would be incorrect. Is
Correct.
Correct?
So what I'm
You got the path of travel wrong.
Yes or no?
So I purposely put down a range on my Google images showing, because I couldn't tell you her definitively route of path for every single way. But I know that it's possibly a possibility that she could travel 36 miles within those locations that she traveled post leaving Fairview Road.
Or if that mileage was put on at key cycle 1162, then that would mean the vehicle would already be in Massachusetts State Police custody, right? In Trooper Proctor's custody.
Objection.
So that's beyond the scope.
That's all I have.
Wow. I hope you all enjoyed this. This is one of the most fun videos I think I have ever made on my channel. This guy, to call him incompetent is a compliment. He's a criminal. He is a liar, a deceiver, and a criminal, and should be put in prison for his assumptions. His lack of knowledge of physics, math, real-world events is not staggering. It's absolutely intentionally fabricated. It is made up. He is trying to fit, as Jackson said, a square peg into a round hole. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, comment below.